Hi, it's Penny Black and Jill Foster here for your next PB&J card class. And today I'll be making a winter thank you card using some watercolor painting with a coordinating background. And here's a look at the card that we'll be creating today. I've used Penny Black's transparent set called Snow Fairies, along with the Stencil Snow Dance and the Creative Die Snow Time. And to begin, I'm working on an Inchy Arts art square. This is an ATC size art square, which is a mat board square, which is really great for doing painting on. The top of it acts like a hot press watercolor paper. And I'm inking up the stamp using StazOn ink. Since I will be adding water and paints to this ink won't run. And I just love this little snowman image from the set. I'm going to begin by painting him with these paints. They're called Creamies, and they're by the company Shimmerz. And I'll have all of the exact colors of the paints and sprays I'm using today at the end of the video. These paints are activated with water, so I put about 3 or 4 squirts of water in each one and let them sit for about 30 seconds to a minute. And while that's just sitting and kind of absorbing and activating the paints, I went ahead and drew in a ground line. And then all I need to do is just take my paintbrush and stir up that water with the paints, and it's this nice creamy paint. The more water that's added, the more transparent the paint. I wanted it to be somewhat opaque on the image, so it almost looked a little bit puffy on there, so I didn't add too much water. And I'm just going in and painting on the first layer. This little image is so cute. It really doesn't take much for painting or shading. It doesn't need a lot. It'll still pop even with just one layer of paint. And then I'm just rinsing my brush off before I go to a new color. And I'm using this purple, this is Power to the Purple, just to add a little darker shading with the original very hot pink color that I put on. And then I go back in with just a dab of that pink and let the two colors blend into each other. I use my heat gun to dry that. It does make the paint puff up a little bit if you have a lot of puddles there, which I like that effect. If you wanted to avoid that, just thin down the paint a little bit more or let it dry on its own. For this base, I just put down the paint. This is the color Boogie Boarding Blue. And then I add water beneath it to kind of get it to blend down and get a smooth transition from dark to light at the bottom. So just keep going back with more paint and more water and letting that blend. And I even tip the art square and let that blend down. And again, I'm working on that art square, so I don't have to worry about how much water that I add. I'm going back in and adding a little more shading to the scarf. And I add that at the top and the sides. Then I blend it into the pink using a little water and also add a little bit more pink as well. And up at the top, you can see I got a little bit of a fingerprint on there, but I just scrubbed that off with a little bit of water. Now I'm going to use the shimmer paint. Now the creamy paint has the ones I just used, they have a satin shiny finish to it. The Shimmerz paints have more of a glitter to them, almost a chunky glitter, and you'll see that here later in the video. I'll be sure to show you. So just to stir it up, I use the back end of my paintbrush and I stir that up and I'm ready to paint it on. Just using a touch of this orange on the nose, the top of the hat, and on the scarf. I added a little bit of water first and then dropped in the paint just to lighten that color a little bit. Now this is such a small area, you don't see too much of the glitter, but it's definitely there in real life. For the background or the sky, I use the Golden Wheat Shimmerz, and you can really see that shimmery finish. And I'll be sure to show you a picture of that, and then I'll try and show it on camera too. So I'm stirring up that paint as well. And for these winter thank you cards, it's really fun to go with a bit of a non-traditional color palette than the average Christmas card, especially with these cute snow fairy set. So here I just wet down the background and then I'm dropping in the paint and then going back with more water to blend it out up into the top part of the art square. And I can just keep adding more paint and more water till I'm happy with the effect. And I can even tip that art square and let some of the paint drip down, and then I can keep blending it as it drips. And here's a look at the shimmer from that paint. It is so pretty in real life, and it goes really well with the like a snowflake frosty look. Now to create my background, I wanted to match the colors that I used on the art square and painted snowman. So I'm using these sprays, they're called Vibes, and to mix them up and get the shimmer all mixed in really well, I just roll them between my hands upwards and downwards. No shaking is needed. These leave a light shimmer on the cardstock, but they also retain all of the great color as well. So I'm going to do a few layers just to be sure that I've got the intensity of color that I like. I like to start out light and then go back and darken things up. So I'm just going to spray them, dry it with my heat gun, and then go back and spray more. And I'm just kind of moving my hand as I spray. And you can see some of the shimmer there. It's subtle, but it's really pretty in real life. I just did decide to go back and add a third layer. And I find I really like using these with the stencils from Penny Black. So this stencil is called Snow Dance. And using similar colors but a little bit darker of Memento inks as the sprays in the background, I'm just going to go over the stencil using a ink blending tool with foam pad. I use teal zeal first, and then elderberry. And then finally, I'll finish things off with a little bit of peanut brittle. This just gives a tone-on-tone look while also following that variation of color from bottom to top that we sprayed on. So to finish off my card, I added some twine, some die cut embellishments. Those are from the Penny Black die cut Snow Time, and some enamel dots. And then I just mounted it to my note card, leaving some white along each side. And here's another look at the completed card all put together. I thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, and Twitter, as well as our website, which are all linked down below in the description box. And here's a list of all the supplies used in today's card.